Welcome to Scorched Earth. This is going to be a general reading for the sign of Aquarius, Sun, Moon or Ascendant. If you don't know what your Moon or Ascendant signs are, if you have a look in the description box, there's a link down there and it'll take you to a page that will get you your natal chart for free. And you'll be able to see where all your placements are, and it's generally usually quite fascinating. Then you should come back and watch the videos for your Moon and Ascendant signs, because you may find that you resonate with one of those more than you do with your Sun sign. That sometimes happens. And if not, then you'll just get a broader picture of what's going on with you overall, and that's a useful thing. So my books are now open. I am taking bookings for personal readings, although as things stand at the moment, I think I'm fully booked for May and pretty much fully booked for June as well. But the parameters that I've set for the scheduler stop anybody from booking more than 60 days in advance. So as each day progresses, so a day will open up at the other end. So if you want to book a personal reading and you've been discouraged by the fact that it's fully booked, just keep going back and checking, because gaps will appear. And we'll see how the schedule goes, but if I feel like I can do more readings than I currently am doing, then I'll open up some more slots in May and June anyway. Just see how it goes. If you're one of the people who booked a personal reading in the first 12 hours of me having it up, thank you for your patience while I sorted out the teething issues. They are all now resolved, so not an issue anymore. And as usual, just thank you for your support. I think the YouTube algorithms, as I understand it, have changed, what with everybody being at home and smashing YouTube now. And so I've taken a bit of a hit on my exposure to new audiences, I think, but I'm not concerned about it because, well, I've got you lot and you're awesome, aren't you? So I'm super grateful for all of you and for your comments and your likes and everything. I read everything, even if I don't respond to it all. And your messages and your donations, everything is so gratefully received, I can't even tell you. So with all of that out of the way, let's get some cards for you for May. Can I have 3 cards for Aquarius, please? Well, there's the first. Ooh, we've got the Mystic. It's the High Priestess, card of Pisces in the Major Arcana. 2 more cards for Aquarius, please. Got the 8 of Earth. You've got work on your mind at the moment, I would say. Aquarius. Interesting depiction. We'll get to it. Let's come towards Aquarius. Ooh, 2 of Earth. Okay, that's cool. At the bottom of the deck, we've got the 9 of Oceans, which is the 9 of Cups in a standard deck, followed by the 9 of Earth. This is really interesting because both of these cards speak to me of you as an individual, not necessarily with anyone else, but getting really clear about what it is that you want and what makes you happy, rather than focusing on a list of things that you don't want. And also being, pretty self-sufficient in a material sense as well, which is important. Let's face it, it is. It's an absolute lack of dependency on anyone else. And I wouldn't expect anything else from you, actually, to be honest, Aquarius. You are very independent as a sign. Anyway, let's get some clarifiers. Oh, do I want this one or do I want that one, actually? One over there. So I'm using the Lost Forest for the main cards, and I'm using the Wildwood for the clarifiers. I've had this deck for like a year, and it's just sat on the edge of my table, and I've roundly ignored it for YouTube readings. And then all of a sudden it just sort of popped up and went, use me. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. And it's been nice. I really like getting new decks anyway, because I love to see different interpretations of the symbolism. Pings off new ideas in your head, so it's a bit of a nice break from the usual. Where's the Mystic here for Aquarius, please? Where the Mystic is here for Aquarius. We've got 2 there. Amazing. We've got the Lovers and the Star, which is your card there, which is cool. All Major Arcana there as well, I notice. Where's the 8 of Earth here for Aquarius? Down there. 8 of Cups, interesting. got the Eight of Pentacles again. And what's this card? Strength. Super. It's a card of Leo. And I'm pulling a face because I do seem to recall there being a fire sign in, like, at some point in the last couple of months. Notion of working together with the fire sign seems to be resurfacing, but we'll get to it in a second. Why is this Two of Earth here for Aquarius? We've got two cards. We've got the Seven of Swords and the Three of Cups. At the bottom of the deck, we've got the Nine of Stones, which is the Nine of Pentacles. This is your self-sufficiency. Underneath that, we've got the Ace of Bows, which is the Ace of Wands, right? This is about creativity and activity, right? Inspiration often as well. So, we start here in your recent past with the Mystic, right? And this is the High Priestess in the standard deck. Now, the High Priestess, obviously, like every single fucking tarot card in the deck, means all sorts of different things. But it speaks about intuition, right? It speaks about following your gut. And that is something that Aquarians do very well, right? Actually. Because there's a certain level of inner knowledge, inner wisdom that's inherent in everyone, but in Aquarians it's something that they draw upon quite a lot, because it's it's the thing that keeps them actually present. Because as a sign, you tend to look quite far ahead, right? You've got incredible vision, right? You're always looking towards the horizon, but to get there, because your focus is over there and it's not out here but what's going on immediately around you, it's like your connection to your vision is from here, right? It comes from internally, and then you walk that path towards it. It's a very powerful card, and it's a very spiritual card. But as a two, it's very much an internal thing. And it seems like in the recent past, you've been kind of working almost more than usual on gut instinct about things. So you're paying a little less attention than even usual as to what's going on immediately around you, and being quite sensitive to what's going on in here and how you are feeling about a situation rather than what you think about a situation. And that's quite interesting because you are an air sign and you're a fixed air sign. But it's like, yeah, more than usual, trusting your gut instinct on things. It is clarified by the Lovers and the Pole Star, right? Or the Forest Lovers, as it is in this deck, right? Which is the card of Gemini and your card, respectively. Now, like I was saying, the Forest Lovers, right? The Lovers generally speaks to me of a choice, and it's a major choice, right? And often it has kind of life-changing repercussions. Further down the line, they may not be immediately obvious. But again, this is in your recent past, and it seems like the suggestion is here that in some major decisions, or decisions singular, that you've had to make in the recent past, you have gone with your gut. Instead of over-analysing it, thinking about it from 50 different perspectives, you've just gone with how you feel internally about the situation, because you're trusting yourself very strongly at the moment. Now, this card speaks about vision, yes, but it also speaks to me of trust, right? When we say, followed a guiding star, what we're saying is that we trusted ourselves, that our judgment, that big, celestial body up in the sky was going to take us to the place that we needed to go, right? And it's like your vision, always looking towards the horizon, what the next thing that you've got planned, has thrown up decisions that have needed to be made, and you've gone with how you feel internally about it because you've got a very strong level of trust in yourself at the moment. And I feel like you're being guided, actually. That was the other thing. There is a level of guidance going on here that you may not be able to necessarily directly identify the source of. But it's like these internal feelings, they're pulling you along and you're riding with it. Now, in your current energy, you've got the Eight of Pentacles, and that speaks to me about work. It speaks of mastery as well, to be fair. It's like working at something, you know, dedicating yourselves to something until you become, you know, incredibly proficient. It's going from an apprentice up to a master of a thing, certainly. But as I'm looking at this card, I find it really, really interesting. There's this one kind of fox creature around the side of a tree, and then there's another one, we assume, because we can just see its tail sticking out the other side. Look there, right? It's almost like you're looking for something, for some answers to do with work. And at the moment, they're proving to be slightly elusive. Yeah. And this probably brings with it a certain level of frustration, because you kind of know it's there and you kind of know it's just around the corner, but you cannot quite see it yet. It's clarified by another 8. Well, it actually, a whole sheaf of 8s. These are all 8s. And it's interesting. Numerologically speaking, 8s talk about karma very strongly, but they also talk about abundance, right? There's a big abundant feel to an 8. When you flip it the other way around and it's a lemniscate, you know, it talks about infinity, but it talks about circles and cycles, which I really, really like. Now, everything in your present energy here is an 8. So this could be financial abundance, but it could be abundance of any description. It's like the things that you want to fill your life with, you're trying really hard to fill your life with at the moment. They are tantalizingly close, but not yet at the point where you can touch it, or even actually quite see it at the moment, because it is just around the corner of the tree. We've got the 8 of Vessels, which is the 8 of Cups, and the 8 of Pentacles to clarify this 8 of Pentacles as well. Right? And the stock phrase for the 8 of Cups is moving away from something that doesn't emotionally serve you, right? But this card is different. It's a slightly different key word, and it's rebirth. Now, that's quite an interesting way to look at it, because effectively it's the same thing, right? But it's looking at it from a different perspective. You know, whereas the former talks about distancing and removing oneself from something that you have already built, there's a slightly different aspect to look at it as a rebirth, because it feels like it's more building on the back of something that you've already done. You know, it's allowing you to be reborn because you're releasing yourself from things that have occurred in the past. And so it's possible that that what we're talking about here is I don't want to say refinement exactly, because I don't think that's quite correct. It's a rejuvenation of what it is that you've been working on, because this card is literally sandwiched between 2 cards that are the same, right? You've got the 8 of Pentacles here and the 8 of Pentacles here. So this is work, this is things, this is work, and this is things, you know, that you're trying to master. And in the middle, we've got this notion of rebirth, rejuvenation, transformation possibly also, right? But with a really strong sense of focus on abundance of whatever description. I mean, that can be emotional abundance, certainly. It can be financial abundance. Take it as it resonates to you. And then we've got this other 8, right? Strength. Now, it's funny that it should have popped into my head that it was there was some notion of cooperation with a fire sign about something. Where did I see? I swear one of the cards underneath. Yeah, okay. Ace of Bows. Right, it's really interesting that this should have come up as a shadow card underneath here, right? This is this 9 of Stones, which talks about being self-sufficient, kind of working on your own, right? Because the 9s for me are always about what's going on for you personally rather than you expanding. But then we've got this new spark of life, as it calls it under here, which is fiery and fiery. And it feels like there's some input potentially from a fire sign that may rejuvenate what it is that you're trying to do. Maybe it's looking at it with fresh eyes. Maybe it's introducing something new in that maybe you hadn't considered before, potentially. But the other thing to consider is that Leo, which is what is represented by strength, is your opposite sign. And what happens to one tends to happen to the other, albeit in a, a slightly magnified or slightly reduced sense. You're constantly kind of pinging backwards and forwards from each other. And so maybe what you're being asked is to kind of look outside of the box and consider things from, your opposite perspective. Instead of being from where you are and looking out, maybe come to the side and look in. That's possible. But find something that's a little bit more fiery and a little less hard work than it's been here, right? This is new creation, new inspiration. But when the Strength card comes up, like, sometimes it talks to me about things being hard, but I don't really get a sense of that here for you at the moment, because you've got these eights down here already, and an 8 of Pentacles out twice. Stranger to hard work, and you kind of relish it. There's a challenge in there for you, and you really, really enjoy that. But what Strength also speaks to me of is growth. Right? And I'm looking at this tree. There are 2 depictions of trees on this. One is behind the stag, and the other one is on the drum. Right? So we've got this notion of things being sandwiched again, just like here. There's an as above, so below. Like, the roots of what it is that you've created are strong enough to grow. Now, what I'm hearing is it's time to expand, and that seems like an odd thing to say when half of the planet is in lockdown at the moment. And if this is work, then it may be a difficult thing for you to expand in any kind of meaningful way. I mean, maybe you're not even actually able to work at the moment, But maybe it's time to start thinking about expanding. Maybe it's time to start thinking about injecting in something new, something fiery, something slightly sideways, or perhaps even completely opposite from where you have been right now. But it's a continuation, right? This is not dropping one thing and starting another. This is rejuvenating what you already have and incorporating new aspects into it. It's fascinating. The final card that you have is the 2 of Earth, and this is the 2 of Pentacles, right? And this talks about balance and juggling and all that kind of thing. But I notice on this one, rather than having 2 characters as we had on the 8 of Earth there, and they cannot quite see each other, these 2, right? They're headed in the same direction. They're right next to each other. They're very much aware of each other's existence. And they are both moving towards something which we can only assume is kind of riffling around in the undergrowth here, right? Their ears are pricked up. They're very alert, right? But the 2 of them are moving together in a particular direction, right? This is speaking to me of more of cooperation and collaboration than it is about balancing out a particular situation. Because often the 2 of Pentacles talks about balancing, responsibilities, or financial or otherwise, with other things. It's resource management is what it is. And I get a sense of you getting a handle on your resource management, but also collaborating with someone moving forwards, right? And then we've got these 2 cards here, which are really interesting. We've got the 7 of Arrows, which is the 7 of Swords, and we've got the 3 of Cups. And for me, the 7 of Swords talks about taking a risk. I know other readers call it the Thief card, and they talk about there being a deceptive element to it. And yeah, sometimes I do see that. But more often than not, because I think it's difficult to try and kind of assess motive from a snapshot picture. There's something going on, obviously. But it might be for the most honourable of reasons. So essentially what that card means to me is somebody taking a risk, whether it's for a good purpose or a bad. You cannot tell, but there's risk taking there. And then we've got the Three of Cups, which talks about collaboration and celebration, stuff like that. Oh, look at this. It feels like expansion, and it feels like taking people on. The card that's the wrong way around here is the Three of Pentacles, which talks about cooperation and collaboration and working together with other people. Like, there's something in this here for you, Aquarius. The notion that it's time to bring other people on board. Oh, I don't believe it. Like, the card that just jumped is the Three of Pentacles. Oh. I just got goosebumps all over. Right. It's time to take a risk. And it's time to expand. It's time to bring other people on board. And these are probably people who are slightly, like, they don't do what you do, right? They do something different. But that's where the value lies, right? You don't need to clone you. You've got vision for days, right? You can see where you're going. You've got your skill set. That all works, really, really well. What you need is somebody who's got a complementary skill set, like something slightly different to you, but that brings value to what it is that you're trying to create, whatever your enterprise is. You don't know about this. Oh, it's Two of Pentacles there again. Oh, how utterly fascinating. The two cards that have come up are the same two cards from over here, right? The first and the last cards in your spread are identical. How fucking magic is that, right? What you have been doing, the way that you've been doing things recently, is absolutely bob on. Right? You've been following your gut and it's seeing you right. Like, the decisions that you are making are exactly the right ones, and you are being guided, right? Without question. You are being guided by something I feel a little higher than you. It's pushing you in a particular direction, and even if you are not aware of that happening yet, you know the sensations that I'm talking about. But when it comes to this risk that's coming up, potential risk in May for cooperating with someone else, collaborating with something else to bring something new to your endeavor, such as it is, whatever it is, you need to do exactly the same as you have been doing, right? You make all of your choices guided by your gut, right? This is not the time to employ your brain. This is time to be still. Interestingly, I've just noticed the Seven of Swords is at the bottom of this deck now as well. If you don't meditate, it's time to start, right? Almost certainly, because that's the best way of identifying what is you, right? And I find that useful. I know what I feel like, and so when I get a sensation that isn't mine, that I cannot identify as mine, I know that this is me being guided in a particular direction for a particular thing, right? And that expresses itself in lots of different ways for me, but I'm capable of being still enough to know when it's external guidance, and I feel like that's important for you. But given the fact that this is already what you've been doing, you just need to continue doing bits of the same, right? But when it comes to making decisions, that I'm probably preaching to the choir, actually, to be fair. But expansion is on the horizon. Rejuvenation, collaboration, transformation. The card that's just flipped is the Wheel of Fortune here. There's something is aligning and something is coming together. And if there's an opportunity that presents itself, you would do very well to take it, right? Because it's going to take you off in a direction that you didn't anticipate, interestingly. But I think that's probably because it's not over there at the horizon. It's actually probably down near your feet somewhere. You just hadn't really noticed it because you were looking over there. How fascinating. Oh, and the goosebumps again. Great. So I'm going to leave it there, Aquarius. I'm going to do an extended. So if you're interested, the link to that is in the description box. Feel free to come and join me over at Vimeo if you want. But if this is where we part ways, then best of luck. Keep doing what you're doing, because it's going to bear fruit, even if you cannot feel it right now. Right. And I will see you in a couple of weeks for the May mid-month readings. Take care.